Tom, this is your second time here in the Food Safety Latam Summit. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience, the people, the conferences, the topics of the conferences? What's it been like?
Well, as I said before, like last year, it was a great event. I was very happy that I could participate for the first time. And because usually I was always too busy, and that time it worked. And it was a great event. I always say it was the best conference I visited in 2024. And I was not sure if you could repeat that, right? But actually, it has been a great time, a great 3 days, and very diverse, right? We had lots of different presentations, from a bit more technical to really inspirational, like we heard just from Professor Detweiler, about actually the thing that we don't look at, the victims, right? I mean, we all know the numbers. We know the 600 million diseases. We know the 142,000 dead, and so many children under 5 years. But if we hear the stories, we really feel the importance. So I feel like you have had even a wider range of topics, and it was very interesting. I really enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. I mean, it's we really appreciate those comments. Your experience is enormous. You've been decades working with the Codex, with FAO, UN. What would you say are the most important topics that people need to understand to build strong and safe food systems across the world?
I think, now you're talking about food systems, right? You're going already beyond food safety, yeah. Which is, of course, a super important topic for the United Nations. In my presentation, I was talking about food systems transformation, the United Nations Food Systems Summit. I was talking about different systems that I'd seen in the world that are actually trying to get a grip on that, because it's not that easy, because our food systems have developed over centuries. And now we find that they're a little bit less adapted to our planet, and that our planet is reaching limits, or actually that our planet has limits. Before we weren't looking at that. So now we're looking at how can we transform those systems that, first of all, still need to deliver. So we had food security. Obviously, they need to be safe still, because whatever we transform shouldn't make anything unsafe. And at the same time, it should also be safe for the planet and for the other animals and plants that live around us in the world. Biodiversity, it should not kill our biodiversity, which is very important. So there are a couple of things that I really like about the Food Systems Summit, because it has created some flexible coalitions that work on specific topics in specific countries. But it's a long process. It's going to be a long process. And there was one system that I encountered in China, which is the Shiology, so which I'm wearing here, right, which has taken actually the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as a logo and made it their own logo, because they say, well, basically all of the SDGs are related to food. I mean, some of them more directly than others, but if we don't get food right, we cannot achieve the SDGs.
I, on purpose, asked about food systems as a whole, as opposed to only food safety, because this part of Summit, although the name is Food Safety Summit, we try to integrate other areas, because we cannot look only at food safety, right? We have to look at it as a whole. And this Shiology initiative is also really interesting. How do you think that other regions in the world, such as Latin America, can take the learnings, for example, of these types of initiatives and maybe tropicalize to the needs here?
I think first of all, it is to know about it, to know what are others doing. Not everything that is done in Asia may fit one-on-one in Latin America. So you may have to do your own implementation, but certain ideas, I think, are global. Like the idea that the eater is at the center, like the idea that we have moved already from the food supply chain to something more circular, right? Because it goes from growing the food to getting it on the market, buying it, preparing it at home, really to what do our bodies do with it, right? And how do our bodies react to it in the end? And this is why I said from farm to table, from farm to toilet in the end, right? It's a whole cycle, and then somehow it goes back to the earth. So as I said, all these things. Some things are global and would be concepts that could be implemented everywhere, but others might be more local, right? Because there might be the philosophy about food might be a bit different. But I think the main concepts like eater at the center, circularity of the whole process, that works everywhere. And then there might be specific topics that may have to be studied more in Latin America than in other areas. Depends also on the economic situation, of course, because food it's a big economic business as well. Yes,
exactly. So what would you tell to all the people that could not attend this event about the learnings that we've had so far?
What would I say? Well, I would tell to them it's a pity that you haven't been here. So you should come to these meetings because you can learn a lot from the video, from the audio, from whatever, but meeting the people and talking to people is actually important. Also, the presentation we had today about Mars and Walmart working together on food fraud, which also is not necessarily just a food safety issue. It's an economic issue, but it can easily turn into a food safety issue. That brings me to my topic that collaboration is actually one of the most important points. And this is why what you are doing as well in the Grupo Delta, I mean, you bring people together, you make sure they have the same training, that they have the same knowledge about everything. But I think exchanges between people, between companies and regulators is super important.
So guys, this is what we do at the event. We try to connect with everyone, bring the theory to discussion and to practice. So don't miss the next year's event. So thank you for everyone who could attend, and see you next year.